Right now, on this special edition of Tracks to Success, meet a man who's all about the fans and the experience, and what a ride it's been. He's been motivated by the likes of Walt Disney, P.T. Barnum, and a man baseball fans might recognize, Bill Veeck. Have you heard of Banana Ball? If so, you know the man who's founded it and in the process has taken baseball and entertainment to a whole new level. He wears a tuxedo to work, and when he gets there, it's all about play. The social media following is incredible, hovering around 15 million followers, and there's a wait list to see his team take the field. Why? Sold out stadiums, that's why. MLB parks, NFL venues, and some of the biggest college football stadiums in America. These days, the stadiums just aren't big enough. And maybe that's okay, because now there's a big, shiny new network TV deal to reach even more fans. His name is Jesse Cole, the owner of the Savannah Bananas, also known as the guy in the yellow tuxedo. He's my special guest, and his amazing and inspiring story of success starts now.
Welcome to Tracks to Success. This is the podcast that brings you inspiring people and their inspiring stories, how they found their way to the top, and how their path can help you do the same. Here's your host, network broadcaster, C-suite executive, best-selling author, speaker, and entrepreneur, Kraig Kann.
Jesse, thanks so much. This is a thrill. I'm so glad you came dressed for the occasion.
Excited to be with you, my friend.
It's really good. I'm going to start this thing just like I do in all my workshops, keynotes, and when I travel. And I'm going to ask you the question I ask somebody in the audience, and that is this. Who are you, and why should we all care? Why should we pay attention to Jesse Cole?
Well, it's an interesting question because I don't think about necessarily why should people pay attention. You need to give people a reason to pay attention. Attention is the most valuable thing out in the world right now. And I always say attention beats marketing 1000% of the time. But if you can't break through the noise in anything you're doing, you're going to struggle to make a huge impact. So who am I? I am a fortunate person that gets the opportunity to do something that I love every single day and spread the joy of making baseball fun, creating a new game in Banana Ball, and creating fans every day. I've learned that I'm able to share the lessons that I've learned and do things that people have never thought possible. As Walt Disney said, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. Every day I get to do those things that are impossible and share it with the world. And so I'm fortunate that 9 years ago, no one cared about myself or our team or anything that we were doing. But now as we've continued to try to share and bring more joy and add more value to people's life and everything that we do, there's a lot more people noticing now. And that makes me very, very grateful for the opportunity we have.
Great answer. Great job. You've been down this road before. And I believe that attention is currency today. Eyeballs are huge and probably more important than money. And we're going to take people down this path because a lot of people definitely know who you are. Some people that are listening or watching this maybe don't. But what's interesting to me is mainstream sports, baseball being one of them. They're making changes. They're doing all these different things to try to get people's attention and keep their attention, right? And they're really kind of going off the map at times. You started off the map. You created something that was different that doesn't need all that adjusting. Isn't that fair?
Well, I think we've had an obsessive focus. We named our company Fans First Entertainment on purpose and with a mission to fans first and entertain always. And so, yeah, we had an obsessive focus and started in a small town in Savannah where no one really knew who we were. We were a college summer baseball team. But because of that attention to our fan, we had to evolve and not focus on necessarily who our current fan was, but who our future fan was going to be. And I think so many people and so many businesses get stuck on the way they think they've done things in the past and feel like they need to continue to do that. We're open to breaking the mold and breaking things that we've done in the past and literally killing the previous business that we were in, which we did. We were a college summer baseball team and got rid of it and said, hey, we're going all in on banana ball because we could see where our fans were going. So I applaud MLB, NBA, NFL because they are doing things completely differently every year. NBA having new tournaments, MLB playing Field of Dreams, playing Rickwood, adding new rules. And that's hard to do when you have built such a tradition over many, many years. And you're always going to get pushback. No one gets excited about change. They get excited when it works, but not when you first do it. And so we're not afraid what people are going to say because we believe in our mission, and that's being fans first with everything we do.
Let's talk about you and your wife, because you started this thing together, and Banana Ball, the Savannah Bananas. I know based on everything I watched, read, all of that stuff, you were in debt big time. Okay. Like $1.8 million or something. But don't you owe your wife a huge debt of gratitude for sticking with you? Is that pretty much accurate?
Yeah, well, we met in this industry. I was speaking at an event with our former team in Gastonia, North Carolina, and I was 24, 25 years old and talking about grandma beauty pageants and flatulence fun nights and all the crazy things we're doing. And she was working in minor league baseball, and her boss left that camp seminar and said, I just met the guy you're going to marry. And which is crazy to say at just hearing me talk, but we had the same enthusiasm and passion. And, I think this has been a venture that while I've been the big dreamer and, try to dare to do the impossible, Emily has this mission to bring joy to so many people too. And she grew up in a big family and was always taking care of people. And so as big as I dream, we do this together because she's like, all right, how do you dream big and take care of everybody every step of the way? Most importantly, our people, and then our fans and everything that we are doing. So I do owe her so much, but I really feel it's like a venture we're doing together. We talk about it all the time. We think about it. We're constantly surrounding our family. We have 3 kids under 6 years old that are constantly around it. And it's something special because it can be challenging working together. But if you have a mission and a vision and you can see the impact of your work, it's a lot easier because it's hard. It was $1.8 million debt, sleeping on an airbed down to our last dollar, grocery shopping with just $30 a week. That was just 8-9 years ago and was this real struggle. But she was able to see a bigger vision just like I. And if we could just get to that next day, get to that next day, get to that next day, that was the mindset. And now these days are much brighter than they were back then.
Jesse, 1.8 mil. Okay.
We don't need to go back there. I'm grateful that we have a real bed now and are eating real groceries and real food.
That's amazing. And you've bet on yourself, and I'll get to that. But let's go back to your childhood. Were you always the daredevil? Were you that kid? Like, everybody was like, oh my God, this guy.
No, I was shy. I was introvert. I was scared of roller coasters. I was singularly focused. I've always been singularly focused on doing something. So mine was baseball. My dad, I was an only child, and my dad, showed me the game of baseball. We would go to the ballpark every night and practice and practice and practice. And I was so committed, and I would just wanted to get better. And so I was, I think I still had fun. Me and my friends, we did a lot of crazy things, but I was very singularly focused, playing baseball, having fun with fans. Didn't have a ton of friends. I had a small nucleus, and that's kind of led me into the baseball path that I took on.
You played at Wofford, right? I mean, pretty darn good school that maybe some people don't know enough about. They're good in basketball. They got a good baseball program. Was it always your dream to be a pro?
Yeah. Well, again, I was a shy, introverted kid when I first grew up, and my dad got me the opportunity. He won the chance for me to be bat boy for the Red Sox. I grew up south of Boston, and I barely even knew. I was 5 years old, didn't really know much about the Red Sox. I didn't play baseball, but that day was so vividly ingrained in my memory because I was sitting in the dugout and by myself, kind of waiting for the game to start. And a player came up to me and sat down with me and spent almost 20 minutes talking with me. And the player was Lee Smith, the Hall of Famer, Lee Smith. And he gave me my first moment. And after that moment, I said, hey, I want to play baseball, Dad. I'm a big Red Sox fan. And so, I had the dream of getting drafted by the Red Sox. And I envisioned that over and over again. In the 37th round, the Boston Red Sox, because I'd never be an early pick. I knew I was, and I was fortunate. I started, on my first high school game, the Giants were there. And then I had the Pirates. Then I had the Mets. And then I had the Braves. I heard from about 6 or 7 teams. And I was like, this is going to happen. And then I tore my shoulder. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. because it led me to another path. And that was going in the front office and being an intern for a small team in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and then learning that this was what I was, meant to do and try to create fun and bring joy.
Tracks to Success is proud to have the support of Ahead, true innovators in premium headwear. For more than 25 years, Ahead has been outfitting golfers and supplying headwear for the game's most prestigious events. Head over to aheadshop.com and explore their incredible collection of major championship golf hats. And don't miss their lineup featuring your favorite college teams. If you're looking to dress for success, Ahead is the perfect brand for you. So think ahead and look for it at pro shops and special events across the country. And how about this? For listeners of Tracks to Success, Ahead is offering one of its biggest discounts ever. Visit aheadshop.com and use the code TTS30. That's TTS30 to get not 20% off your purchase, but 30% off. That's right, 30% off with code TTS30. Ahead, the finest in headwear and the official headwear of the Tracks to Success podcast. Available now at aheadusashop.com. We're talking with Jesse Cole, founder of Banana Ball and owner of the Savannah Bananas. Now, $1 million question for you, the entrepreneur. Jesse, there are a lot of people, that think they're really good at something or believe in themselves, but ultimately they will not bet on themselves. They think they can add value to somebody else, but to take something on, all the risk, everything, why are you different?
It's about getting your reps in. See, people don't realize when you get your reps in and you do it over and over again, you start being afraid of failure. When we started with our team in Gastonia, North Carolina, I was 23 years old. There was $268 in the bank account my first day. There were 200 fans coming to the game. I couldn't pay myself for 3 months. I was lucky. I saved a little bit college. I had a college scholarship. I saved a little bit from working in college. I was able to get through it. I had nothing to lose. So everything we did, to an extent, salute to underwear night, that failed. We had a Midnight Madness game at first. That was crazy. We didn't know how we were going to do that. We had a salute to toilet paper night. I think 300 people showed up. We did all these random salutes. We had Hannah Montana night. We tried everything. And every day I made it a goal to try something I've never tried before. And what I realized is that failure is not a big deal. We overestimate, what the failure can be. But as Jeff Bezos said, we underestimate what the opportunity could be. And so by me trying constantly over and over and over again, I got my reps in. I wasn't afraid of failure. So at the point when we went into Savannah and it's like, oh, wow, we've sold 2 tickets in our first few months. We got a phone call that, from our team member that we're out of money. We overdrafted our account. We have nothing left. I was like, okay, let's get to the next day, get to the next at bat. What are we going to do differently? And so as an entrepreneur, I think we very rarely try new things on a regular basis. We get used to what our norm is and we get comfortable there. And for me, I only learn by trying new things. I don't learn by doing the same things over and over again. So every night at our ballpark, people don't realize we do 10 to 15 things we've never done in front of a live crowd every single night. And yes, the living piñata. That promotion did not work well, all right? Messy baby, the horse head race, the pregnant woman dance-off with women in the 3rd trimester dancing to Salt and Pepper's Push It, all right? That is a sight that I'll never, ever, ever unsee. Every single night, some things don't go right. But what we do is we learn from them. And when you create this learning muscle in yourself, failure doesn't scare you. And so, yes, as bad as it was sleeping on an airbed, we've had things go wrong every step of the way. And it actually excites me because I know we're going to learn faster because we're trying more.
Your mascot is named Split. I mean, that's pretty cool. Music videos, Can't Stop the Peeling. I mean, come on. You've thought about a lot of things. I want to go back to 2019 because you talked about selling 2 tickets, and I think that was 15, 16. A lot of struggle. In 2019, you spent time with Gary Vaynerchuk. And you posted this thing. It's on LinkedIn. People can watch this. And you guys sitting in a boardroom. What was the genesis of that?
Well, that was back in the day. We were kind of the same team, we were in college summer baseball and we were selling out every single game. We had won a championship, but our business was pretty flat because we sold every ticket. There was nowhere we could go. And I started watching, even with all the entertainment, all the ideas, all the crazy thing, the Banana Nana senior citizen dance team, the break dancing coach, all the craziness that we were doing, fans were still leaving games early. And so at that point, I started to look at what are the biggest friction points with the actual game of baseball. And I wrote down all these ideas. It's actually crazy right now. They're in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I never imagined we get a call from the Baseball Hall of Fame says we have to put the Savannah Bananas in there. And of course, they did it the right way when they honored us and we had all of our fans there and our players. Lee Smith was there to greet me, a Hall of Famer. So it goes back full circle. Amazing. But I wrote down all these rules. I was like, all right, well, there's blowouts. What if every inning is only worth a point? What if there's no stepping out of the batter's box? What if there's no mound visits? What if a fan catches a foul ball for an out? I had all these ideas. And I was like, well, what if we just try it? So at that point, we were experimenting behind closed doors. And what I learned was, hey, let's talk to some people that have already done it, have already grown businesses. So this principle of pay to skip the line. So we didn't have a ton of money. I mean, we were successful. We were selling out, but it wasn't like a multi-millionaire company. It was doing well. I paid $10,000 to go to a special day with Gary Vaynerchuk, and it was the 4Ds. I think his company still does that. Paid $10,000 because I just wanted to get in front of him and connect and share what we were doing. Shared that question. I had the person next to me just film it, and I said, "Hey, we're getting these opportunities. I believe in this future of this game that we want to do. What would you suggest?" And he shared, about documenting, focus on your mission, focus on who you are and what you stand for. You're creating a new sport. You're creating the UFC. Go all in on that. And yes, from 2019, that 5 years later, we've now played in front of 2 million fans. This coming year, we're playing at major league stadiums, NFL stadiums, and we've announced our new league. So we have gone all in on the mission, and it's really starting to, take off in a different level than we ever imagined.
Bigger stadiums. I mean, that's an understatement. Raymond James saw that. That's more than 60,000 that would be there. How do you
Why not? Why not?
I know. I think it's fabulous. All right. I am. So the question becomes like, what is your greatest challenge today? We already know what it was when you were in debt and you had to innovate and you couldn't wait for people to pay attention to you. You had to make people take notice of you. That's what it is. So that's probably the toughest challenge now is not losing your fastball, staying ripe. How about that? Can I use staying ripe?
No, I like it. But the biggest challenge is the unknown. When you go where others won't go and you do what others won't do or haven't do, we're creating an own blueprint. People could say, oh, you're like the Harlem Globetrotters. Well, no, there's some huge fundamental differences between the Harlem Globetrotters. We have 4 teams now. We're going to 6 teams next year. We're building a league. So every game matters. It's not the same script. And we're trying to get a balanced schedule where everyone plays. You create all these new brands that still can create fans. And we're playing all over the country and trying to create loyalty, not just as a passing show. And you're trying to create tentpole events like WrestleMania, the Super Bowl, the Kentucky Derby, in a year-round spectrum. And so there's unbelievable challenges. Playing at football stadiums, the unknown, never done that before. We sold out a cruise ship a couple months ago. We've never done that before. So there's all these new things that we want to stay fresh or ripe for our fans, to know that we're continuing to do new things that they will be excited about, that they'll be fired up about. My biggest fear is the Bananas become irrelevant. You look at all these leagues and Banana Ball, you look at all these leagues, and one, and you look at the old football leagues and the ABL and all these leagues that they had tons of money, resources, they had people leading them that were smart people, but it never worked. And so my belief is that we need to create fans first. Every question we need to ask is, will it create fans? Often you say, hey, this is where we want to go, but it's like, we're going to do this because it's best for the business, best for the league, best for the team. What is best for fans? And right now, I know we have 3 million plus people on our wait list, and we're playing in front of 2 million this year. There's still 1 million plus people, not including groups and everyone else, that still can't come to a game. I got to find a way to create that, but also create something special, unique, and create the demand that every year you want to see it. It's not like I saw the Bananas, I saw the Party Animals, I saw the Tailgaters, and I'm good. I don't need to come next year. That unknown is extremely difficult. And that's what fires me up, because you're doing something that we don't know the answers to. It's the challenge. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, you better love that challenge, embrace that challenge. Don't get comfortable. Don't feel like, hey, this is easy. As soon as it gets easy, you need to work harder and find something to challenge yourself. And that's the game, and continue to play the game. And that's what really, really fires me up every day.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
In addition to hosting this podcast, Kraig leads the Kann Advisory Group, focused on elevating communication for companies and individuals. Company consulting, team and individual workshops, mind-altering virtual programs. To learn more and to find out why the Elevate workshop has been labeled the most powerful experience in leadership communication, visit canadvisory.com. And when you do connect, mention the Tracks to Success podcast to receive your special discount. Now, back to the interview.
You're the author of a few books. I want you to tell us about them a little bit. Banana Ball, Fans First, Find Your Yellow Tux. Okay, before you launch into that, number one, how many tuxes do you have? And number two, like, would I ever see you in the grocery store wearing jeans and just a t-shirt? Does that happen?
Yes, we'll start with the easy ones. I think I have 9 yellow tuxes, but I continue to bring on new ones based on the use and wear. And now this is what I wear when I work. This is my uniform. When I put this on, it means it's showtime. And when I'm with my kids, when I'm with the family, when I'm grocery shopping, I am incognito. I am dad, and I'm part of my family. But this is me. I believe in giving permission to stand out, to be different, to have fun. So that's what we believe in. And your second part of the question?
Well, you pretty much answered that. Let's talk about the books. Banana Ball, Fans First, Find Your Yellow Tux. I mean, the author and the keynote speaking and all of that. I mean, you are a man in demand. And do you enjoy that? Like, what you said, you were an introvert, but now look at you're flat out putting yourself everywhere.
Well, my biggest mentor, the person I look up to more than anything, was Walt Disney. And I've read every single book on Walt Disney. I study him religiously. And I think back and I said, wow, what if Walt was sharing the lessons that he was learning as he was building, the first full-length animated film, as he put color and animation for the first time, as he used sound like no one else has ever done, as he created the first Disneyland theme park, and as he had the big vision for Disney World and Epcot. What if he shared every challenge and the adversity that he was going through? What if he challenged the wins, the lessons? What if he just shared all that? I would have been blown away. And so I realized that 7-8 years ago, I was like, all right, I've learned from so many people: Walt, P.T. Barnum, Cirque du Soleil, WWE, Amazon, Apple. I mean, I'm looking at all the books in front of me right now. I've learned so much that why don't I just share along the journey? And so I started sharing on LinkedIn almost every day for 5-6 years. Now I share probably 4 or 5 times a week. And so as I started learning that things that were working for me back 6-7 years ago, I said, all right, let's put it in a book. Find Your Yellow Tux, and how to be successful by standing out. That got me to this first chapter. Then the next one, Fans First, kept us going even further. And then the third chapter is Banana Ball, which is the future. And so just sharing it, they each have different lessons, different things I've learned, and I'm blown away by how much they've resonated, especially Fans First. That's kind of been the ethos of who we are and what we stand for. But I think anybody, if you learn things, might as well share. You'll actually learn more by sharing, because you learn what people react to and what they respond to and what they relate to.
All right, different color, but we have a little something in common. If you're over my shoulder, you'll see a green shoe. I got one here a little bit closer up for my company, Can Advisory Group. When I do my talks, when I do my workshops, there are slides right in front of people, and there's a bunch of white shoes, and there's the green shoe. The green shoe stands out. It's how you get noticed. How are you differentiating from other people? This is right up your alley, because it's exactly what you do. We just have a different color in doing it. So let's talk about it from the company perspective, because obviously people need to differentiate. They need to find their superpowers, I like to call it, what differentiates them, what's their green shoe quality, as I say, but companies as well. So what's your message? What's your message to companies? What do they need to do that they're not doing? And what about the employees?
Start with putting yourself in your customer's shoes. It's the starting point of all innovation, is to not think what's best for the company to drive revenue and sales. Think what's best for the customer. Everyone says they are customer focused, but then they look at their bottom line and they look at what they need to get for this quarter and how they need to grow the company. And they say, hey, we're going to add this. We'll do this price increase. Prices are increasing everywhere, all over the place. And my challenge would be, how can you grow your business without increasing prices? And so give an example. People think we are crazy in Savannah because we've had all-inclusive tickets. All your burgers, hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, soda, water, popcorn. We are leaving so much money on the table, but we believe in it. And no ticket fees, no convenience fees, no service fees, no shipping fees on our merchandise. All of that, because it's building fans first. So if you put yourself in the customer's shoes and you start with, what are the friction points in the experience? First with the industry. So whatever industry you're in. So even like public speaking, all right. I'm fortunate that I get to see a lot of speakers and a lot of them are very, very similar. It's all about the message. Well, what if you play a different game? It's not just about the message, it's about how you present it. It's, most people, they're sitting, they're taking notes. What if, like in my talks, I'll have everybody doing Hey Baby. I'll have the whole room dancing, doing Hey Baby. We'll have sing-offs. We'll have people on stage because I'm bringing it into what a show is and then having a lesson off each of that because I want people to feel entertained and not like any other speech. So I think whatever you do, the question that most companies struggle with is what makes you different? And you ask that, what makes you different? And often they go to, well, we do this a little bit better. We do this so and so. And they're like this Me Too kind of company. They're doing it similar to someone else. What dramatically makes you different in the minds of your customers based on the experience? How is your experience different than everyone else?
That's right.
And
That's right.
and that's what we look at. We look at reimagining the experience from every step of the coming to the ballpark to leaving. That's what we look at.
You hit the key word. It's experience. I tell people I don't do talks. I don't do keynotes. I don't do workshops. I deliver an experience. And that's what it is. It's about the people. It's audience first always. You've got to think about what they're going to say, how they're going to feel, most importantly, when they walk out the door. That's what it's all about. And you deliver that every single time. And that's what's really cool about it. So I tell people that the tracks to success, the name of this podcast, tracks to success are not a straight line for anybody. There's pivots, we detour, all that stuff. And most people are not prepared to be able to pivot or to have to. And then it's a 911 call for them. They freak out. So what would you tell the 35-year-old, Jesse, who's struggling to climb? They don't feel like they're going in the proper direction. They don't want to take the chance to pivot. Or what about the 50-year-old who says, I've had this career for a long time. I really haven't achieved what I want to do. And they've not embraced their failures. What do you tell them about real life, real business?
It's a good question. And the reality is everyone is going through so many different things and they have different drives, different motivation, different passion. You've heard many people say, follow your passion. I believe in following your energy. What gives you energy? And this was a game changer for me because I was working my butt off with our first team in Gastonia, literally doing everything. I think there was 3 of us. I was doing sponsorship sales. I was doing hiring. I was doing concessions. I was doing operations. And at the end of each day, I was worn out. I was truly exhausted and burnt out. And then I realized, well, what do my best days look like? And it was days that I was actually in front of people, sharing, creating, coming up with ideas, that I was learning things with different people. I was able to share what we are about and what we stand for and the new things we were going to do. And I created my energy list. And I said, these are the things that give me energy every day. These are the things that when it's hard, I'm willing to get out and just do it over and over and over again. I don't even realize time has gone by. I can do an idea session literally, and it could take 2 hours. And I felt like it was 2 minutes. And so whether you're 35, whether you're 50, whether you're 60, what gives you energy? Because if you find what gives you energy, it's very easy to pivot or do something else. Maybe you got to try something on the side and you become really, really, really good at it. I never knew speaking has a bigger business than I ever imagined. I wasn't planning on speaker. I just a crazy guy in a yellow tuxedo that runs a baseball team. That's what I started as. And then I became this guy that runs a banana ball. But giving me energy is sharing and creating and all that. So I think the reality is don't be afraid to try things. Don't be afraid of failure. Find what gives you energy and just start. Stop thinking about everything. Just start doing. You learn by doing, not necessarily thinking and writing down all the ideas. Just start acting.
A couple of things before we go. Building a following. You all have done it amazingly well. And by the way, I have not seen it in person yet. So I look forward to doing that. Building a following and a brand. How important is building a following and building a brand as an individual? We think about companies, that's one thing. But as individuals, some people are afraid. They're like, I'm not a brand. Okay, you're sitting here in a yellow tux. I mean, that is you. That is what I will walk away thinking about. So how about that? Building a brand as an individual.
The yellow tux is just a statement. There's a lot more to that than a lot of people say, oh, I'm dressing like this, I'm doing this. Well, what do you stand for? What are you about? And so when I think about building a brand, it's still the same question. It's about how do you create fans? It's not creating a following, it's creating fans. And so to create fans, you need to always show up. You need to be consistent. You need to provide value. Those are the better questions. How are you showing up consistently for people? How are you adding value consistently for people? And if you do that, the following takes care of itself. I think our Banana Ball, our teams have over 20 million followers. We've never been focused on how many followers we've had. We've been focused on providing entertaining content daily that can actually provide joy and fun to our fans. Myself, I've grown more followers than I ever imagined. And again, it's just trying to share the journey, provide value. And it's never about the number. When you start focusing on any absolute numbers, then you're losing your vision of the mission, and the mission is number one. And that's, again, how do you provide value? How do you do things that give you energy? And how do you create fans? And that's what I think about on a daily basis.
Looking for a guest speaker for your next event or annual conference? Kraig's message is inspiring and empowering. Visit kraigcanspeak.com to learn more about his topics and find out about his green shoe experience. It's a day your people will talk about long after he's gone. So visit kraigcanspeak.com and mention the Tracks to Success podcast to receive your special discount. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, I like to think about the difference between being known and being knowable, right? Known, how many followers do you have? That's all great and everything, but what are you known for, right? What do people remember you for?
Yeah.
So 2 things, real quick. All the attention that you're getting, how do you stay fresh? Because you got tons of energy and you just talked about energy. How do you stay fresh? I mean, because this thing's only going to go as far as you're going to take it. You are that guy.
Geez, 10 years ago, I read the book Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and about winning the morning, winning the day. It's the whole concept. And his story about how he basically almost died twice, once in a car accident, and once because of depression and everything he was going through. And then he developed the lifesavers, and about having silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And he started having a morning ritual that set him up to win the day. And for me, it is that morning ritual. I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I go for a long run, usually about an hour. I listen to a business podcast. Often, Founders is one that I'm obsessed with, and listen to the greatest founders and what they've done. And I get ideas. I write down ideas. I share some gratitude, a thank you note, a thank you video, and I journal and I read. And I do that before my kids get up, and I'm able to then spend time with my kids. And so that time for me keeps me fresh because I felt like I've already brought in so much knowledge. I've already created something. I've already grown by learning. I'm writing a post as well, so I'm sharing something with the world. That no matter what happens the rest of the day, I've done something to add value, and I felt like I have grown as a person and grown as a leader. And so find what keeps you going, find what drives you. And if you can find that moment in the morning to really get ahead of the day and don't let the day drive you, you drive the day. That's been huge for me.
Last thing, Tracks to Success, the name of this podcast. It's about inspiring people and inspiring stories. Inspire us with a final thought. Let's think about how you want to be remembered and the legacy you want to leave. Have you thought about that?
Well, geez, in my first book, I wrote my obituary, which is it's very interesting to go to your deathbed and what do you want people to say about you? How do you want to be remembered? It's ironic because I haven't looked at it in a few years and I know it's changed. I didn't have kids then. My life was dramatically different. But when I think about how will you be remembered, and to think in 70, 80, 90 years, it's not going to be about how many followers you had. It's not going to be all the business meetings you'd had. It's going to be for how you gave to the world. And in the back of our first ever Fans First playbook that we have with our team, it says, be patient in what you want for yourself, but be impatient in how much you give to others. And it is something that I've tried to live by, and our company and our family is to focus on giving more than what you want to get in return. And that has been a game changer for us.
Well said. You've changed the game in many ways, and you've changed business, and you've changed the fan experience. Can't thank you enough for the time. I don't see any slip-ups. I'm using that terrible pun. You got a great thing going, and I wish you nothing but success. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Friends, success isn't just about the look of your resume. It's about the way you look, and dressing for success in the workplace is important. The way you look out of the workplace is part of your brand as well. Ahead, our official headwear partner, is all about helping you show off your best self. A hat says a lot about you. And Ahead doesn't just follow trends, they set them. Available at pro shops, resorts, and big sporting events around the country. And also online. By listening to this podcast, you get a chance to save big. Visit aheadusashop.com, use the code TTS30, and receive 30% off your order. That's aheadusashop.com, using the code TTS30. 30% off just for you. Ahead, the finest brand in headwear and the official headwear of Tracks to Success.
Jesse Cole, the owner of the Savannah Bananas, clearly the innovator of something special. It's time for Getting Ahead. I want to focus on the word innovate. Now, everyone has a chance to be known for something. That's kind of a challenge for all of us. And I like to talk about, as I mentioned to him, the difference between being known and being knowable. Known, how many people just say, yep, that person, I know who they are. Then knowable. What are they known for? What do they stand out for? What is their greatest strength? What do they give back? What do they do that's special? What do they do that is unique? Now, we go to work each and every day, and I pretty much guarantee that all of you would say the same thing. We try to be impactful. But I would challenge you to think about what you do to make something your very own. Uniquely you, yours, something that was your idea, and you put it into motion, and you got other people to follow your lead. Something uniquely attached to you. Now, Jesse's got the yellow tux. Really cool. I talked to him about the green shoe that I hand out to somebody in one of my workshops or keynotes that stands out because it's an interactive experience that day. And what about you? Do you stand out when you stand up? Do you stand for something, as he talked about, that people will recognize you for? I think that's really important. So my challenge is this. Go to work each day thinking about yourself. Be a little selfish and think about your future. What can I be recognized for? Don't seek recognition, but build something that gets recognized. Do something special and involve other people. If you do that, pretty much guaranteed, Tracks to Success will be a whole lot easier. Big thanks to Jesse Cole. He was fabulous. And until next time, let's stay connected. We'll catch you again on Tracks to Success.
Don't forget to subscribe to the show for more great interviews and Kraig's thoughts on reaching your highest personal and professional summit. Find it wherever you get your podcasts and on the Kraig Kann YouTube channel and kraigcanspeak.com.